Welcome to Legs Like Mine, the podcast, where we explore lipedema through the eyes of a patient, break down the latest research, and share real life stories of living with this often misunderstood condition. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. I'm a lipedema patient, author, and advocate, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're newly diagnosed or deep into your journey, this podcast is for you. Today's episode is called Cobbling It Together, The Lonely Road to Lipedema Treatment. Today, I want to talk about something that feels equal parts ridiculous, heartbreaking, and deeply familiar to so many of us living with lipedema. The fact that we have to cobble together our own care plans, piece by exhausting piece. There is no clear roadmap, no central clinic, no coordinated medical home. Most of us don't even have a doctor who fully understands lipedema, let alone who can guide us through what should be a comprehensive, lifelong treatment plan. Instead, we become our own project managers, researchers, coordinators, advocates, guinea pigs, and scientists. We have to find our own surgeons, often traveling across the country, for someone who even knows what lipedema is. We're responsible for coordinating pre-op testings, sometimes with one physician, sometimes with several, like me. Then we have to handle the post-op care on our own, often without any local support. We have to hunt down therapists and pray they've at least heard of manual lymphatic drainage or compression protocols that are lipedema appropriate. We lean on Facebook groups. We dive into Reddit threads. We go down rabbit holes on YouTube and TikTok trying to figure out what the conservative treatments even are. And don't forget that we're bombarded with ads for scams and herbal remedies that don't work, people taking advantage of the fact that they know we're cobbling our own treatment plans together. There is no centralized system, no standard approach that tells a newly diagnosed patient, here's what to expect, here's what to do next, here's your care team. There is a standard of care for lipedema treatment in the United States, but it's really geared towards medical professionals reading it. And a lot of times the treatments that are required in there are conservative, but they may or may not work for a certain patient. So we really need a doctor who is with the patient from diagnosis or pre-diagnosis for the continuity of care for the rest of their lives. And we just don't have that. In fact, there are very few practices, if any, that take the care of lipedema patients from diagnosis through daily life. And if there are, many of them cannot or will not take insurance, meaning it is incredibly expensive and therefore only offered really to people who have extra money, and it can be very, very expensive. So we're leaving out a lot of people who have just regular insurance coverage or who cannot afford to pay out of pocket. We're getting there, and I appreciate the doctors who are putting these practices together. Don't get me wrong, but we still need better options for people who cannot pay out of pocket and who depend on their insurance to help us with coverage for this. And I'm speaking from experience on all of this. I live in Oklahoma, and like so many of you, I had to tell my own doctor about lipedema. I was lucky enough that she listened and was willing to learn and take advantage of the things I brought her. But let's be honest, she doesn't have time to go off and do an intensive study about lipedema and become an expert. She's literally taking what I tell her for the right thing to do. I had to coordinate my own pre-op testing. I had to go to a different cardiologist, to my regular doctor for blood work. I had to do this, I had to do that. I had to write my own letter for insurance coverage. I booked my own travel to California alone to undergo surgery. I had to coordinate and stay at a really expensive offsite nursing facility. I'm talking about $2,000 a night. And then I had to take an Uber to transition to a hotel to recover, again alone. When I returned home, I had to find a CLT. And fortunately, I had actually found mine earlier, but that is a certified lymphedema therapist to do limited care because there simply aren't specialists nearby who know how to follow up after lipedema surgery. So my CLT did things like measure me, and she did the traditional wrapping or looking at my compression. And she also occasionally would look at the wounds, but that wasn't really her job. No one was tracking my overall progress. I had one or two follow up calls with my surgeon, who was across the country, and I was able to call him whenever I had a problem. But no one was watching over me. It was all on me to build a plan, to keep it going, and to hope I was doing the right thing. And again, let's be frank, I'm a smart lady. I'm super motivated. I'm a fantastic researcher. Well, not everybody has these skills or interests. So, what about people who don't have this ability? It should not be this way. If you're listening and you're nodding along, if you've had to cobble together your own care plan, if you felt that crushing loneliness in the middle of your treatment plan, you're not alone, but you are alone in a way. It's time we stop accepting this as normal. We need to advocate for full spectrum lipedema care that starts with early diagnosis and follows us throughout life through conservative treatment, through surgery if needed or chosen, through mental health support, physical therapy, compression guidance, nutrition, insurance support, the full picture, all of it. We need doctors across the United States to recognize lipedema and take it seriously. Every state, every hospital system, every medical school curriculum. Because until the system sees us, we'll keep being forced to cobble together a life saving treatment plan with nothing but our own determination, each other, and the scraps of information we find online, and weeding out the information that's bad. If you're a patient, tell your doctor. If you're a provider, educate yourself and your colleagues. And if you're someone who loves a person with lipedema, help carry the load. This is a fight we all deserve support in. Thanks for listening. You can find more patient stories, resources, research, and advocacy opportunities at AmericanLipedemaAssociation.org. Until next time, keep going. You are not alone. If this episode spoke to you, or if you've ever felt unheard on your lipedema journey, please know this: you are not alone. We're in this together, and we're not stopping here. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. Be kind to yourself and keep going.